When the senses shout their loudest and reason argues with all its logic, the question arises, how can I believe in what I do not see? How can I rest in what I cannot touch? How can I accept as true that which my whole world denies? And yet, this is the very secret by which all things are brought forth. For the visible is born of the invisible, and the seen is the offspring of the unseen. Every form that stands before you, every circumstance that presses upon you, once lived only in the imagination. It was believed before it was known. It was accepted before it was confirmed. To believe when reason denies is the very act that separates the dreamer from the sleeper. Reason will always demand proof. It will tell you that what is not in evidence cannot be possessed. But reason knows only the past, only what the senses have reported. It cannot create, it can only rearrange. Belief, however, calls into being that which is not yet seen, and clothes it in substance. Faith is the daring act of assuming the reality of the invisible and persisting in it until the world echoes back the truth of your inner conviction. Consider for a moment a seed. If one looked only with the eye, one would see a small, lifeless form. Yet hidden within that seed is an oak, a forest, a world of strength and shade. To believe it while it lies in your palm requires imagination. You cannot see the towering branches, the rustling leaves, the shelter it will one day provide. But you believe it, and so you plant it. You act in confidence that the invisible tree already exists within the seed. So it is with your desires. Though reason says they are impossible, though senses declare there is no evidence, hidden within the seed of desire is the very fulfillment. To believe in it is to plant it. To assume it real is to water it. To persist in the unseen is to guarantee its appearance in the seen. You may say, but I cannot deceive myself. I see what is before me, I know the facts. My reason will not permit me to deny reality. And I tell you, you are not asked to deny reality. You are asked to shift the reality in which you dwell. You are not called to say, this does not exist. You are called to say, though this exists, I rest in another state, and that state will objectify itself as surely as this one has. What you now call reality was once only an idea entertained, an emotion felt, a thought persisted in. Therefore you are not deceiving yourself when you believe against reason. You are choosing the higher law by which all things come into being. Let us take a simple example. Suppose you are in want. The world declares you poor. Your bank account proves it. Your creditors remind you of it. Your circumstances echo it at every turn. Reason says, this is the fact. Accept it. But you are not called to accept the outer report. You are called to move inwardly into the feeling of wealth, to dare to assume that what reason denies is already yours, to walk in the consciousness of plenty, though reason shouts lack, to act as though your world were already filled with abundance, though the evidence cries otherwise. And if you persist, reason will be silenced, for the world will rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. Do not think this is idle fancy. This is the creative act itself. The imagination is not daydream, it is the reality maker. What you accept as true inwardly, though reason cannot see it, becomes the law of your world. It is the unseen cause of the seen. All men are living in the imagination, but few know it. They think they are victims of circumstances, when in truth circumstances are only the out-picturing of inner beliefs. If you wish to change the outer, you must change the inner. And to change the inner requires you to believe against reason, to persist when the senses contradict. Some will say, but is this not self-deception? And I answer, it is the only true self-recognition. For your true self is not the flesh nor the circumstance, but the imagination that conceives and sustains them. When you believe what reason denies, you are not deceiving yourself, you are remembering yourself. You are reclaiming the authority of the inner man who creates all worlds. You may recall the story of the man who looked at the stormy sea and feared. He saw the wind, the waves, the fury of the elements, and reason told him he would sink. And indeed, as long as he gave his belief to the evidence of sense, he began to sink. But the moment he lifted his eyes to the unseen, the moment he fixed his faith in the reality beyond appearances, he was saved. That story is your own. Every storm of circumstance shouts its evidence. Every wave of reason threatens to engulf you. And yet, if you can lift your eyes inwardly, if you can claim the unseen as more real than the seen, you will walk upon the waters of life unharmed. How then do we believe when reason denies? We practice the art of assumption. We take the desire and clothe it in feeling. We imagine the scene that would be true if our desire were already fulfilled, and we rest in it until it becomes natural. We do not argue with reason, we simply ignore it. We do not fight the senses, we transcend them. By night and by day, we return again and again to the inner state, until its reality grows stronger in us than the outer evidence. This is not a momentary wish, it is a steady dwelling. To believe is to dwell in the state, to live from it as though it were already fact. Reason will rebel at first. It will present its facts, its logic, its impossibilities. Let it. Do not attempt to silence it by force. Simply turn your attention away. Just as you would not engage in argument with a child who insists on the dark, so do not argue with reason. Instead, gently but firmly rest in your chosen state. Say within yourself, it is so. It is already so. And though the outer world contradicts, persist until the contradiction fades, and the world reflects your assumption. This is the law of life, that you become what you believe. Not what you wish, not what you argue, but what you assume as true. If you can believe when reason denies, if you can accept as fact that which the senses cannot yet see, you have mastered the art of creation. For creation is finished. All states already exist. You are not creating out of nothing. You are selecting out of infinity. You choose the state you will occupy by belief. And though reason denies it, once you dwell there in imagination, the state will harden into fact. Therefore I say to you, dare to believe in the face of reason. Dare to assume the best when the world presents the worst. Dare to walk in the conviction that what you desire is already yours, though every sense denies it. Persist, and you will prove the law to yourself. You will discover that reason is but a servant, and imagination the master. You will see that the unseen is the parent of the seen, and that faith is the power by which the invisible becomes visible. And when at last your reason beholds the proof, when your senses rejoice in the evidence, you will know that it was not the world that gave it to you, but your belief that called it forth. And you will never again doubt the creative power within you, for you will have tasted the joy of believing when reason denied. You may be tempted to say, but I have tried before, and nothing happened. I imagined, I believed, but the world did not change. And I tell you, nothing imagined is ever lost. The moment you enter a state, it is set into motion. You may not yet have persisted long enough. You may have returned to the old state too quickly, allowing reason to pull you back into doubt. But even so, nothing is wasted. The world is reshaping itself, even now, to mirror the conviction you hold most firmly. If you would only persist without wavering, if you would only rest your whole weight upon the unseen reality, you would see it break forth in ways you cannot now predict. Do not demand to know the how. Reason will always ask, but how will this come to pass? By what means? Through whom? And the moment you turn your attention to how, you lose the vision. You are not called to know the how, you are called to believe in the end. The how is not your concern. The how belongs to the unseen intelligence that moves all things into their appointed place. Your task is to see the end with such vividness, to feel it with such naturalness, that you forget you ever doubted. Then the how takes care of itself. Doors will open, people will appear, circumstances will align, and you will marvel at the wisdom that arranged it all without your effort. Let us return again to the seed. The farmer does not plant a seed and then dig it up each day to check if roots are forming. He knows that beneath the soil, unseen processes are at work. He waters, he waits, and he trusts. If he were to dig it up, he would disturb the very process he desires. So it is with your belief. When you accept the end as true and dwell in it, you have planted the seed. Do not disturb it by doubt, by questioning, by constantly returning to the evidence of the senses. Rest in the assumption. Water it with feeling. And in its appointed hour the harvest must appear. Reason will always argue for delay, for impossibility, for limitation. It will tell you that you must wait years, that certain things are beyond reach, that circumstances will not permit. Yet reason has no authority over imagination. Reason speaks only of what has been, imagination declares what shall be. If you allow reason to dictate, you will forever remain bound by what has been. But if you allow imagination to lead, you break free into what can be. Consider the child who believes in the invisible friend. To him, the unseen companion is real. He speaks, he listens, he walks with this friend as naturally as with any visible playmate. And though the adult calls it fancy, to the child it is living reality. That same power of belief, undisturbed by reason, is the key to creation. You are called to become as little children, to believe with the simplicity of one who does not question, who accepts without doubting, who rests in the unseen as though it were visible. If you are in sorrow, imagine joy. If you are in sickness, imagine health. If you are in bondage, imagine freedom. Do not concern yourself with how the change shall come. Concern yourself only with the inner conviction that it already is. Walk in the mood that would be yours if it was so. Speak from it, think from it, feel from it, until it becomes natural. And then, without strain, the outer world will conform. Do not measure the invisible with the yardstick of time. Time is the servant of imagination, not its master. You may believe today and tomorrow see no change. Do not despair. Hold fast, for the longer you persist, the more deeply the seed roots itself. And when it breaks forth, it will seem sudden, as though it came overnight. But you will know it was prepared long before, in the hidden chambers of belief. Some will scoff and say, "This is too simple." Surely life requires effort, struggle, planning. And to them, life will indeed require it, for they have believed it so. But to you who dare to believe against reason, who dare to trust imagination over the senses, life will prove itself a generous friend. You will find doors opening where once there were walls, help arriving where once there was none, joy springing up in the very place where sorrow dwelt. You are not asked to deny the existence of what is, you are asked to refuse it the final word. Reason may present the evidence of sickness, but you declare, "I live in health." Reason may show the proof of lack, but you declare, "I dwell in abundance." Reason may parade the signs of failure, but you declare, "I walk in success." And though reason argues, you persist in the conviction of the unseen. And as surely as night yields to day, the unseen will clothe itself in flesh, and reason will bow before imagination. Think of the sculptor standing before the unshaped block of marble. To the eye, it is nothing but a formless stone, heavy, rough, without beauty. Reason looks and says, "Here is only rock." But the sculptor does not see only rock. In his mind, already complete, stands the figure. He sees the form invisible to the senses, and he believes in it more than in the stone before him. He chips away in faith, guided not by what reason shows, but by what imagination reveals. And in time, what was unseen becomes seen, what was denied becomes celebrated. So must you be the sculptor of your own life. When reason shows only stone, hold fast to the image in imagination, and let the unseen form shape the substance before you. Do you know that the world around you is nothing more than imagination made solid? The house you live in was once only an idea. The chair on which you sit, the road on which you travel, the city in which you dwell, all were once invisible thoughts in the mind of another. And though reason at the time may have denied their possibility, though men may have scoffed and said, "It cannot be," yet the one who dared to believe in the unseen made it visible. If every structure you see, every tool you touch, every invention you use was once unseen, how can you doubt that the desires within you carry within themselves the power to become real? The senses cry out, "But I see no change." And I tell you, look not with the outer eye, but with the eye of faith. The outer eye shows only what has been, the inner eye reveals what shall be. Close the eyes of flesh and open the eyes of imagination. There, see yourself already in possession of the desire. Walk the streets as the man or woman you long to be. Hear the voices congratulating you. Feel the relief, the joy, the naturalness of fulfillment. Do this not once, but again and again, until the feeling becomes stronger than the evidence of sense. Reason will remind you of yesterday's failures. It will whisper, "You tried and nothing happened. You dreamed and the dream dissolved." But do not give ear to reason. Know that every attempt, every vision, every act of belief is working within you. The soil of imagination never rejects the seed. The harvest is certain if you persist in planting and watering. The only failure is to abandon the vision and surrender to reason. When the world calls you foolish, rejoice. For it is the dreamer whom the world first mocks and later follows. The man who believed that voices could be carried across oceans was ridiculed until his vision filled the airwaves of the earth. The woman who believed that man could rise into the skies was doubted until wings carried humanity above the clouds. Every breakthrough was once a belief denied by reason, but insisted upon by faith. And now, what once was impossible is the common fact of daily life. So too will your vision, though reason denies it now, become tomorrow's certainty if you persist. Dwell not upon the obstacles. Reason delights to number them. It will show you lack of money, lack of influence, lack of opportunity. But belief does not require resources, belief creates them. Belief is the unseen cause of supply. When you assume the state of already having, resources gather themselves to fulfill it. Men and women will be moved, circumstances will be shifted, doors will swing open, because you dared to believe against reason. Even the scriptures are filled with this pattern: the barren woman who conceived, the blind who saw, the poor who became rich, the captive who walked free. Each story is the same story told again. One who believed when reason denied, and by faith transformed the seen by the unseen. These tales are not of long ago, nor of distant lands. They are the eternal pattern of life, repeating itself in every age, waiting to be proven in you. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, do not lie down with the evidence of the senses. Let not reason dictate the images of your sleep. Instead, assume the state of the wish fulfilled. Enter into the dream as though it were true now. Let your last thought be the scene of fulfillment. Fall asleep in it, and you will water the seed in the most fertile soil. For the hours of sleep are the hours when the subconscious accepts without question what the conscious has impressed. If you would believe against reason, then give to your sleep the unseen reality, and let it grow in the silence of the night. The day will test you. Circumstances will rise, evidence will shout, reason will argue. But remember, you are not bound to dwell in the outer. You may withdraw at any moment into the inner sanctuary, and there reaffirm the unseen as real. Do it again and again until no storm of circumstance can shake your conviction. This is the discipline. This is the practice, to return to the vision until it becomes your dwelling place. Think of the actor who steps onto the stage. Before him stands the audience waiting. He may in his private life be weary, broken, or burdened, but the moment he assumes the role, he forgets himself. He moves, speaks, and feels as the character he portrays until the audience believes it is real. Now ask yourself, what if you dared to do this in the drama of life? What if you clothed yourself inwardly with the role you wish to play? The prosperous one, the healthy one, the free one. Until you forgot the old part entirely. Reason will say, but you are only pretending. Yet in this world, what is first assumed as pretense becomes later accepted as fact. The actor on the stage eventually convinces even himself, and the world responds accordingly. Do not say, I cannot believe because I see no evidence. Evidence comes only after belief, never before. If you insist upon evidence first, you will wait forever. Belief is the evidence of things not seen. It is the substance that gives birth to form. You are asked not to be persuaded by what the senses report, but to be persuaded by what you have inwardly chosen to accept as true. The unseen accepted now will in time rearrange the visible world to bear witness. Perhaps you wonder, but what if I imagine wrongly? What if I believe the wrong thing? Fear not. The law works for good as you direct it. If you imagine harm, yes, you will taste its fruit. But if you imagine love, joy, abundance, you will know their harvest also. Therefore choose wisely where you dwell. Set your mind upon the noble, the lovely, the praiseworthy. Believe in the good though reason denies it, and you will make it flesh. Imagine now that you stand in a barren field. Reason looks and says, there is no crop here, no fruit, no harvest. But you kneel, you plant, you water, you nurture. Days pass, the field still looks barren. Reason shakes its head and declares you foolish. But then one morning, a green shoot pierces the soil. Another follows. Soon the entire field bursts forth with life. Reason, once so confident, now falls silent before the evidence of faith. So it is with every desire. Though barren to the senses now, once planted and believed, it must spring forth. Consider the prisoner in his cell. The walls are high, the door is locked, the chains are heavy. Reason declares him bound. Yet within his mind he sees himself free. He walks the open fields, breathes the fresh air, hears the laughter of friends. He rehearses it, he feels it, he dwells in it until freedom becomes more real to him than bondage. And in time the chains fall away, the doors swing open, the very world bends to mirror his conviction. Freedom, once denied by reason, becomes his living fact. The senses will tempt you with delay. They will whisper, yes, perhaps it may come, but not yet, not for you, not now. But to believe is to claim it now. The only reality is now. If you push fulfillment into tomorrow, tomorrow will always recede. Say within yourself, it is so now. I am now what I desire to be. Let the present moment be filled with the reality of the unseen. Do not wait for evidence to permit you to believe. Believe now, and evidence will follow. Do you not see how every man already lives by this law unknowingly? One fears disease, imagines it, rehearses it inwardly, and soon reason confirms his fear. Another dwells constantly on failure, seeing himself defeated before the contest begins, and the world obliges him. Yet another dares to see success when reason denies it, and though mocked at first, he rises to triumph. Each one has believed, and each has received according to belief. The law plays no favorites. It will bring to pass whatever you persist in assuming, whether noble or ignoble. So if you would change your world, begin by changing your inner conversations. Listen to what you say to yourself when alone. Do you repeat the facts of reason, the evidence of the senses, the litany of lack and fear? Then you perpetuate them. But if you begin to speak inwardly from the end desired, if you rehearse the conversations that would be yours were it already true, you plant new seeds. You change your dwelling place. You train yourself to believe against reason, and soon the world will echo your new speech. See the traveler who stands at the edge of a desert. All before him is dry and barren. Reason says, here is only sand, lifeless and without promise. Yet he carries within him the vision of a city. He sees fountains, gardens, homes, and marketplaces filled with life. Each step he takes, he walks not in the desert he sees, but in the city he imagines. To the eye of sense, he is lost in emptiness, but to the eye of faith, he is already dwelling in the place he conceived. And in time, the desert yields. Men gather, walls are raised, waters flow, and the city appears where once there was only waste. Reason denied it, but belief persisted, and the vision clothed itself in stone. Do you not know that every great structure of this world was once a contradiction to reason? The towering bridges, the shining towers, the vast ships, all were first ridiculed. The wise of the day said, it cannot be done. But someone dared to believe in spite of reason, and because of that belief, you now take for granted what was once thought impossible. The law has never changed, it is the same now as then. What you dare to assume as true, though reason argues, must one day appear. When the senses show you failure, take no thought of it. Ask instead, what would it feel like if I had already succeeded? And then answer that question, not with words, but with feeling. Step into the state. Walk in it until it becomes more natural than the evidence around you. This is the true act of faith, to dwell inwardly in the end, though outwardly it is denied. Picture the man in winter who carries within his heart the vision of spring. The snow is deep, the trees are bare, the air is sharp and cold. Reason says, it is winter. There is no life. But he knows that beneath the soil, unseen, roots are stirring, buds are preparing. The season of blossoms is as certain as the season of frost. Though his senses show only winter, he lives inwardly in spring, and soon spring breaks forth. So too with your desires. Though now the world shows only barrenness, the season of fulfillment is certain if you hold fast to the vision. Do not despise small beginnings. Reason looks for the grand, the immediate, the overwhelming proof. But faith delights in the smallest evidence of growth. A whisper of change, a subtle shift, a faint stirring, these are the early signs. Do not say, "It is too little." Rejoice in them, for they are the heralds of the full harvest. Just as the faint glow in the east foretells the rising sun, so the smallest sign of inner conviction foretells the outward manifestation. There will come moments when you feel as though you are deceiving yourself. You will say, "But I know the facts. I know what reason insists is true." Yet remember, you once believed in the facts of yesterday, and today they are gone. You once felt certain of a sorrow that is now a memory. You once thought a circumstance unchangeable that has already shifted. Facts change, but imagination is eternal. Therefore, cling not to facts, cling to the unseen conviction. For what you believe today, though reason denies it, becomes tomorrow's fact. Think of the merchant whose ships are far out at sea. On the shore he sees no evidence of them. Reason says, "They are gone, lost to the depths." But he believes in their return. He prepares the storehouses, he readies the accounts, he acts as though the ships were already in the harbor. And in time the sails appear on the horizon, and reason, once doubtful, must acknowledge the truth of faith. Even the body responds to this law. The one who believes himself weak will find his strength fading. The one who believes himself strong, though reason points to frailty, will rise with unexpected vigor. For the body is but the servant of imagination. It obeys the convictions held most deeply. If you would change the state of health, begin not with the body but with belief. Assume within that you are whole, vital, radiant, and the outer form must follow. You see, to believe when reason denies is not to deny reality, but to choose the higher reality. It is not to close your eyes to what is, but to open your inner eyes to what can be. You stand between two worlds, the seen and the unseen, and you are free to choose where you will dwell. If you abide in the seen, reason will rule you. If you abide in the unseen, imagination will crown you. So I say to you, do not wait for reason to give you permission, for it never will. Reason is the servant, not the master. Let imagination lead, let faith command, let belief hold fast when all else denies. For the world you know today is but the shadow of yesterday's thoughts, and the world you shall know tomorrow depends upon what you dare to assume now. Believe when reason denies, and you will discover the secret of life itself, that the unseen, when faithfully embraced, compels the seen to bow before it. Stand firm in your inner conviction, and the facts of the world will rearrange themselves to mirror the truth you have chosen. What you dare to believe in defiance of reason will one day stand before you in undeniable form. Therefore, live not as a slave to appearances, but as a master of vision. Believe boldly, believe joyfully, believe now, when reason denies, and you will prove to yourself that all things are possible to the one who dares to believe.